Atlanta wasn't ready for the storm that was about to hit. The city slept under warm streetlights, unaware that a quiet midnight meeting would soon light every phone in the area code. Yandy and Kirk thought they could keep it small, just a conversation in the dark, hidden behind tinted glass and low music. But Atlanta has a way of seeing everything. Secrets here don't stay buried. They grow legs, they walk, and they talk. The air that night was heavy, humming with something unspoken. Kirk leaned forward, speaking low. Yandy kept her eyes down, pretending this was casual. But the energy said otherwise. One message, one photo, one wrong glance, and everything would explode. They didn't notice the bartender watching, or the flicker of a phone camera from the corner booth. Across town, Rashida's world was calm, for the last time. When the first whisper hit her phone, her breath stopped for half a second. The caption read, "They were together, midnight, Buckhead." It wasn't proof yet, but it was enough. Her pulse slowed. The ground under Atlanta shifted. The silence before the storm broke, and every heartbeat turned into a countdown. Phones began to buzz. Screenshots started to move like wildfire from one hand to another. The secret meeting was no longer a secret. It was a spark, and the city was dry tinder. Rashida didn't need confirmation to feel the truth in her bones. Something was wrong, and she could already feel the fire burning toward her. By the time midnight faded into dawn, Atlanta wasn't breathing easy anymore. Everyone knew something. Nobody knew everything. But Rashida, she was about to find out. And when she did, the calm woman everyone thought they knew was gone. In her place stood someone ready to bring smoke, truth, and reckoning. And that's how the night Atlanta tried to sleep. Ended wide awake. It started as a whisper in a dim lounge, soft music, empty booths, and two people who thought the dark could hide them. Kirk sat across from Yandy, eyes shifting between guilt and charm. They laughed quietly, unaware that every second was being watched, captured, and stored for the city's next morning gossip cycle. The bartender noticed first. Then an influencer at the next table took out her phone. Within minutes, the moment turned into content. A flash, a blurred reflection, a voice note, just enough to fuel curiosity. By 1 a.m., those whispers had already left the room and started spreading through Atlanta's nightlife veins. By sunrise, they had become wildfire Twitter threads, group chats, anonymous accounts posting blurry photos with captions like, "This ain't friendship vibes." The city ate it up. People didn't need clarity. They wanted chaos. Hashtags appeared. Memes followed. And by noon, the story had its own life. But Rashida wasn't scrolling like the rest. She was searching. Every ping on her phone was another spark. Every call that went unanswered only made the silence louder. She didn't chase rumors. She hunted for truth. And when one message finally came through, short, clean, undeniable, she stopped moving. They were there. Just them, midnight, that was all it took. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She simply straightened her back, her calm turning into something colder. That's when Atlanta shifted again. By the evening, the whole city could feel it, the kind of tension that sits behind every laugh, every glance, every beat of music. People acted normal, but their eyes betrayed them. They were waiting for the explosion, because in Atlanta, everyone knows. Once Rashida gets confirmation, there's no turning back. The whisper had turned into fire. The gossip had become gospel. And the stage was quietly being set for a confrontation no one would forget. The city didn't know it yet. But by nightfall, that fire was going to find its match. The night glittered above Atlanta like it had no idea what was coming. The rooftop was alive, music pulsing, lights glowing gold, laughter spilling into the skyline. But under the surface, something felt off. Every smile looked a little forced. Every laugh had a tremor, because the whispers were already here, floating through the air like perfume. Everyone had heard it. Rashida knows. Sierra was the first to sense the shift. She turned her head toward the elevator just as the doors slid open, and there she was. Rashida, red heels. Steady stride. No expression, just fire tucked behind calm eyes. The sound of her heels hitting the floor echoed louder than the bass. People moved aside without being told. Power didn't need permission. Spice leaned in, voice barely above a whisper. She knows. Sierra nodded once, heart thudding. Across the rooftop, Yandy's smile froze mid-sip. Kirk's hand twitched, tapping against his glass. The man who'd once been in control now looked like he was standing on thin ice. Rashida didn't rush. Every step was deliberate, quiet but heavy. The crowd didn't speak, yet the air buzzed with tension. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Phones came out like reflexes. Someone whispered, "This about to get real." Kirk tried to act casual, forcing a smile. It didn't stick. Yandy's eyes darted to the exit, then back to Rashida. There was nowhere to go. Not tonight. Rashida's presence alone had turned the whole rooftop into a pressure cooker. She stopped in the center of the room, scanning the crowd once. Her gaze landed on them, Kirk and Yandy, standing together under the glow of string lights that suddenly felt too bright. Her lips parted just slightly, but she didn't speak. Not yet. That silence was louder than any scream. The kind that makes even the DJ lower the volume without realizing why. Rashida's calm wasn't peace. It was precision, the moment before lightning strikes. And as her eyes locked on the two faces that had betrayed her, the rooftop exhaled as one, because everyone knew. The storm wasn't coming anymore. It had arrived, and it was wearing red heels. Kirk tried to speak first. "Shay, listen, it's not—" Rashida's hand lifted slightly, cutting him off before the excuse even landed. "Don't," she said, calm but sharp. "Not tonight." The single word dropped like a bomb. Conversations died instantly. The music faded to a heartbeat's hum. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Yandy shifted beside him, pretending to stand tall, but her fingers trembled against her clutch. Kirk swallowed hard, trying to find something, anything that could save him. But Rashida wasn't the woman you could talk circles around anymore. She stepped closer, voice low but clear. "So y'all having midnight meetings now?" The crowd rippled. Someone whispered, "Oh, she on 10. Another voice answered, "He better pray she stays calm," Kirk stammered. "It ain't like that when how is it then?" Rashida's tone stayed smooth, but her words hit like punches. "Tell me, since everybody else in this city already heard the story, maybe you can give me the official version." Yandy opened her mouth, then closed it fast. Rashida's eyes cut to her, cold and unflinching. "You really thought a midnight booth in Atlanta was a secret?" Her voice grew lower. "You think I wouldn't find out?" The room was silent, heavy. Even the bartender froze, glass halfway to the shelf. Kirk tried to smile again, but it looked broken now, like he didn't even believe it himself. Rashida tilted her head slightly, studying them both. "You know what's wild?" she asked. "It ain't even that y'all met up. It's that you really thought nobody would talk," the crowd murmured, reacting like live television. "Oh!" someone hissed. "She cooking." Kirk took a small step forward. "Can we not do this here?" Rashida's eyes narrowed. "Oh, we doing it right here. You did dirt behind my back in the dark, so you can face me in the light." Yandy looked down, lips pressed tight. Rashida turned slightly toward her. "You just talked, huh?" "At midnight, in a corner nobody was supposed to see." She gave a dry laugh. "You must think I'm stupid. Nobody dared move. Nobody dared breathe." The queen had drawn her line and the room knew it. Kirk's pride cracked. "You making this a scene?" Rashida smiled, cold, perfect, final. "No, baby. You made this a scene. I'm just giving it the spotlight it deserves." The silence that followed wasn't peace. It was judgment. And for the first time that night, Kirk realized he'd already lost. The silence after Rashida's words hung heavy like smoke over the rooftop, but it didn't last long, because when she finally spoke again, it wasn't calm anymore. Her voice cracked through the night, fierce and unfiltered, the kind that made even the city lights seem to dim in respect. "You embarrassed me," she started, her tone sharp but heartbreak laced between every syllable. "You stood beside me for years, built a brand on loyalty and love, and then threw it all away for what? Some midnight secrets and lies?" The crowd froze, watching a woman turn pain into poetry. Kirk tried to speak, his mouth opening, but she cut through him like thunder. No, don't talk. You've said enough behind closed doors. Tonight I speak. Every word hit like a hammer. She pointed at him, not screaming, not flailing, just steady, surgical precision. You built your empire on my back, my patience, my forgiveness. And now you want peace? You don't get peace when you traded respect for ego. The crowd murmured, a low wave of disbelief mixed with awe. You made me look like a fool, Kirk, she continued, voice shaking now, raw and human. But the thing about me, you can't break what you didn't build. Me. You can't break what you didn't build. I gave you everything and you gave me humiliation. Gasps rippled as tears rimmed her eyes, but she didn't wipe them. You don't get to cry tonight, she added coldly when Kirk tried to speak. You get to listen. Yandy's face was pale, her eyes darting to the floor as Rashida turned her fire toward her. And you, she said, low but deadly. Sisterhood? You preached loyalty but practiced betrayal. You smiled in my face while whispering in corners. You're not a friend. You're a headline. Someone in the crowd whispered, she ate that. And they were right. Rashida was in full control, standing tall in her pain, every word echoing like an anthem of liberation. I don't need an apology, she finished, her voice softening but never losing its edge. I need distance. Then, with a single pivot, she turned, her heels clapping against the rooftop floor like a drumline of finality. The crowd parted again, stunned into reverent silence, their phones still raised but their eyes locked on a woman who had just burned her past in public and walked away from the ashes. Kirk stood frozen, shattered in his own guilt, while Yandy's mascara streaked down her cheek. No one moved. No one breathed. Atlanta had just witnessed a queen reclaim her crown. Rashida's footsteps echoed down the stairwell, slower now, each step heavier than the last. The night air felt different down there, quieter, lonelier, like even the building knew something sacred had ended. Kirk's voice broke the silence from behind her. Rashida, wait. She didn't. He caught up, his voice cracking. You really gonna leave it like this? She turned slowly, her face glistening under the flickering stairwell light. How else am I supposed to leave it, Kirk? You already ended it. I'm just giving it a proper goodbye. His words tumbled out. It wasn't what you think. I swear it wasn't like that. But Rashida stepped closer, eyes red but burning. You think I care about the details now? You broke the trust, not just the vows. You made me doubt myself. Kirk's voice dropped to a whisper. I messed up. She laughed bitterly. Messed up is forgetting an anniversary. This was betrayal. Don't downplay it just because you're scared to face it. He tried to reach for her hand. She stepped back. Don't touch me. Not tonight. Her voice trembled, but the strength in it never wavered. For a moment, all that existed was their breathing, the hum of distant music above, and the echo of everything unsaid. I loved you, she whispered finally. I built my world around you, and now I have to rebuild it without you. Kirk's eyes filled with regret, tears cutting lines through his composure. I can fix it, he said quietly. Rashida shook her head. No, Kirk. You can't fix something you refuse to protect. Her words lingered in the stairwell, heavy, final, beautiful in their heartbreak. She turned away, her hand brushing the rail as she descended the last steps. Kirk stayed frozen, shoulders sinking under the weight of a loss he had created. At the bottom, Rashida pushed the door open, the night air rushing in, carrying away the last of her tears. And as the door closed behind her, the echo of her heels faded into the distance, a sound not of defeat, but of rebirth. When Rashida returned to the rooftop, it was like the night itself had changed its rhythm. The crowd turned as if pulled by invisible gravity, every phone lowering, every whisper dying. The woman who had left moments ago in storm and heartbreak now walked back through the glass doors like she owned the skyline. Gone was the tremble in her voice. Gone was the ache in her eyes. In its place was something far more dangerous, peace. The kind that comes when a person decides they owe no one their silence anymore. Her posture alone shifted the energy. People stepped aside without a word. The DJ froze mid-song, eyes wide as the queen reclaimed her stage. Rashida stopped at the center again, the city lights flickering behind her like a crown. "Let me say something," she began, her voice smooth but powerful enough to reach every corner. "Respect isn't a favor. It's the bare minimum." A hush fell over the crowd. Loyalty isn't about pretending in public and lying in private. It's about who you are when nobody's watching. Her words cut through the air, calm yet sharp enough to draw blood. She glanced at Kirk. Not with anger this time, but with something colder. Pity. "I carried this family. I built this name. I stood by a man who forgot what standing beside meant. And yet, I'm still here." Then her gaze slid to Yandy, whose eyes had already begun to fill with tears. "And you? Loyalty isn't about who you call sis on camera. It's about what you do when she's not in the room." Gasps rippled again, but Rashida didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Power had shifted the second she walked back in. "Tonight isn't about revenge," she said softly. "It's about remembering who I am. I'm not your mistake. I'm the lesson you had to learn." Then she smiled, faint, calm, dangerous. "Boundaries are protection, not punishment. So from here on out, I protect me." The rooftop was silent. Even the wind paused, waiting for her next move. Rashida looked around once more, then simply said, "We done here." And somehow everyone knew they were. The silence that followed broke slowly, like glass cracking under tension. Then came a single clap, soft, deliberate, from somewhere near the back. Another joined, then another, until the entire rooftop filled with the rhythm of applause that grew into thunder. It wasn't loud because of chaos. It was loud because of respect. The same crowd that had once whispered about Rashida was now cheering her name in quiet awe. Sierra had tears in her eyes. Spice just nodded, proud. Rashida stood tall, chin lifted, letting the sound wash over her, not in vanity, but in victory. Across the room, Kirk stood motionless, his face hollowed by regret, the reality finally setting in that his power, his image, his pride, had just evaporated in front of an audience. Yandy looked smaller than ever, her once flashy confidence replaced by shame. The applause carried a verdict no one had to speak aloud. Rashida had won, not by shouting, not by fighting, but by owning her truth in front of everyone who had doubted her. When the claps softened, Rashida gave a slow nod, then turned toward the skyline, her reflection merging with the glittering city lights. It was poetic. The woman they tried to break had become the standard. She walked past Kirk without a glance, past Yandy without a word, her perfume lingering like final punctuation. Phones caught every second, flashes sparking against her silhouette as she reached the edge of the rooftop and looked out at Atlanta, calm, unbothered, free. The whispers that had started as gossip now shifted into reverence. "She really did that," someone murmured. "She ended it her way." And as Rashida finally walked away, the night didn't belong to chaos anymore. It belonged to her, the woman who turned pain into power and left the world watching in silence. The night wind brushed against Rashida's face as she stepped away from the rooftop chaos, her heels clicking against the pavement in a rhythm that sounded like closure. The city glowed around her, but for the first time she wasn't performing for its gaze. She was free from it. The cameras had caught the fire, but not the weight she carried walking away. Underneath the calm exterior was a storm that had finally quieted. Her reflection shimmered in the glass doors as they closed behind her, and she smiled faintly, because she finally understood that leaving wasn't weakness, it was power. Rashida didn't need to shout anymore. She didn't need to prove anything. She had already spoken her truth, and the world had listened. Freedom wasn't about revenge. It was about peace. And peace, she realized, was expensive, but worth every scar. Her thoughts echoed softly. Sometimes strength isn't in staying. It's in knowing when to walk away with dignity intact. The neon lights from the street below flickered like applause from the universe itself. For years, she had carried love, loyalty, and pain like armor. Tonight, she let it fall. She wasn't the betrayed wife anymore. She was the woman who walked away and still kept her crown. The night belonged to her, not because she fought, but because she ended the fight on her own terms. As her car door closed and the city blurred behind tinted glass, Rashida exhaled deeply. She didn't look back, because queens don't need to revisit what's beneath them. They rise and keep walking. And now, the voice of the narrator returned, cutting through the night with a quiet challenge to every viewer watching the chaos unfold on their screens. "So what did we really witness tonight?" the voice asked, steady and reflective. Was Yandy wrong for crossing that line of loyalty? Or was she just another casualty in the game of blurred boundaries? Did Rashida handle it like a queen? Or like a woman finally tired of being silent? The tone softened, inviting thought instead of judgment. Sometimes the loudest revenge isn't rage, it's peace. Sometimes, walking away is the most powerful statement of all. The music underneath swelled with emotion as the camera lingered on Rashida's car driving into the city night. To everyone watching, ask yourself, what's your boundary worth? Your peace, your respect, your silence? Because the truth is simple. People will test you, use you, and doubt you, but they can never define you. The outro faded in with the narrator's final line, calm yet commanding. Be like Rashida, know your value, protect your peace, and when the moment comes, walk away with your crown still shining. The screen faded to black, leaving the audience not just entertained, but awakened.